What's good, Defenders Nation? Welcome. I know you just saw us yesterday for a recap episode. You're seeing us today for one more sleep. And in all of July, if you choose to like, subscribe, and get all those notifications and everything, you're going to see a lot of both myself and my good friend Philly here. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert. Welcome to One More Sleep. This time we are headed to Houston, Space City, as they like to call themselves, as many people in here, Los Angeles, like to call it, home of those cheating bastard Astros. That's right. Nobody likes the Astros in Los Angeles. Jose Altuve, I hope you break your leg getting out of bed in the morning. But this is not a Dodgers podcast. This is home of the black and gold defenders of the bank. You know my voice. It's the Scarf. And over there is one Christian Philly Philemon.
What's going on, everybody? You're funny. You came in wanting violence on this episode of Defenders of the Bank. It's usually reserved for yours truly to want violence. But yeah, they call it Space City because you got to be high to want to live in Houston or work in commodities, one or the other. Houston in the summertime is a hot town, man. Not very pleasant. I do like the state of Texas, and particularly the city of Austin, but Houston is not the type of city that I want to live in. Although I had a darn good time at WrestleMania 17, The Rock versus Stone Cold at the Astrodome, that amazing tables, ladders, and chairs match. I do have fond memories of being in Houston. But you know who doesn't have fond memories of being in Houston, Scarf?
Yeah, LAFC.
LAFC. LAFC is 1-2-2 on the road against Houston. And the last time we took out the Orange Crush in their neck of the woods was July 12th, 2019, where we beat them by a score of 3-1. It's been a very long time since we've been successful in Houston.
Dude, 4-0 last year. We got absolutely thumped in Houston last year. That was a rough one. Hey, they came to BMO and beat us as well, 1-0 last season in the regular season. But you know what, Philly? When you need to show up, these boys show up. And in the playoffs, Houston Dynamo lost to us 2-0. So when we needed to turn things up, we did. But speaking of turning things up, this Houston team, not very good by any metric at all. 8 wins, 7 losses, 6 draws, fairly down the middle, 30 points, 7th in the West coming in to Saturday's matches. But maybe a little bit better over their last 7. They've been okay. 3 wins, 3 draws in their last 7. And Philly, I'm calling it. It's all because of 2 players, including one who we love so much in black and gold. That's right, the star man playing on the right. Latif Blessing has led the Houston Dynamo's resurgence over these last 7 matches.
Look, you said it. I'm glad you touched on the fact that they ended up losing to Carson back on May the 15th. And yeah, they had gone on a 6-game streak without losing any matches. And you said it, half of those were draws, all identical scores, by the way, on those draws, 2-2. And that ended this past Wednesday against RSL, where they lost. Speaking of RSL, they absolutely thumped Atlanta just now, and Chicho Arango just scored his 17th goal. Today, all across Major League Soccer, we've seen some pretty wild blowouts. That FC Cincinnati-Miami game was kind of nuts. A lot of high-scoring games, and kind of hoping that we're going to have a high-scoring game against Houston. But you said it, Scarf. They're not great, but they're also not that bad. If you really look at things across the middle, I mean, they're pretty darn good defensively, and they're tops in the West Coast in terms of possession. So they've been plagued by injuries in their back line. They've had to rotate. Ben Olsen has gone through 7 different players rotating within his back line, but yet they still are within the playoff hunt. And let's keep in mind that they're not that far off of being in a conference final, where we beat them, by the way, 2-0. And they are the defending U.S. Open Cup. Well, not anymore defending, but they were the U.S. Open Cup champions. So let's not look too far past them, because they may not be great, but they're also not very bad.
No, look, 11 goals scored in their first 14 matches. That's not good, but 16 goals scored in those last 7. They've also given up 11, so it's not a staunch back line that they've got back there. But look, they've beaten some decent teams, right? They beat a 9-man DC team, although it was really 10 men for most of the match. They beat Charlotte. Christian Kalina is a very good keeper there. They beat Colorado. Colorado's very up and down this season. They've been a solid team, but look, you mentioned it. They like to possess the ball, 58% possession. Well, if there's one thing we know that LAFC has come through with, it's letting another club possess the ball. they like to pass the ball a lot. 9,800 plus completed passes on the season, 2,000 more completed passes on the season than LAFC. But you know what? They don't do a whole lot with it. What's that favorite quote by Dennis Green? They are who we thought they were. You know what? They've scored 27 goals on the season, and their XG is like 29. So it's not like they're getting unlucky. This is a team who looks like they play on paper or who plays like they look on paper, either one. But again, it's this recent resurgence, this finding of some guys playing off of the bench and now getting a little bit more run. Couple of players, and I don't know who your player to watch is, so I don't want to steal a bunch of thunder, but Sebastian Ferreira, who's almost playing no minutes this season, and Latif Blessing have led this resurgence while not playing a ton of minutes. It is going to be very interesting to see what they do in terms of their attack, because this is definitely a different looking club than they have looked over the course of the first 2/3 of the season so far.
Look, well, while the attacking might not necessarily be that great, again, the defense is pretty okay. They've only allowed 26 goals this season, which actually has them tied for third fewest in the Western Conference. So they may not score, but they also don't really allow all that much either. I mean, they've only allowed 2 more goals than we have. So that's saying something, in particular due to the fact that they've had a shuffling back line. We've held tightly because we've had we've had consistency in our back four. They, on the other hand, have been plagued by the injury bug. And so they've still managed to do that. That means they're very deep when it comes to things defensively. So not going to be an easy team to score against. And their keeper, our good old friend Steve Clark, if he's the one who's going to get the start, which I assume he is, he knows LAFC pretty well. And he also has a chip on his shoulder from the number of times that LAFC has stuck it to him over the course of our franchise history, dating back to 2018.
Yeah, you mentioned that back line. They're going to be missing a big piece due to yellow card accumulation. 2022 MLS Cup champion from your black and gold, Franco Escobar. Franco Escobar will not be playing in the match due to yellow card accumulation.
Surprise.
Yeah, and according to MLSsoccer.com, Alberto Carrasquilla will also be out for international duty. Carrasquilla, one of their more dynamic players, so it's nice that he'll be missing due to international duty. And some old guys on the back line are hurt. Daniel Steres, Nelson Quinones, and Jefferson Valverde. Lafferty's still upset at me from last time. Look, it's a different club without Carrasquilla and Escobar. And Daniel Steres, a player who just played last match, tried to give them some minutes on the back line. He's obviously a veteran to Major League Soccer. That means he's old. He also played for the Galaxy a whole bunch. But it'll be interesting. You mentioned it. They've rotated a lot of guys on this back line. I have a feeling we'll see even more in this home match for Houston.
Yeah, Daniel Steres, actually born in Burbank, California. That's an interesting thing. Carrasquilla, his Copa America run is done because Colombia absolutely thumped Panama by a score of 5-0. But Carrasquilla didn't start, nor was he in the 18. So if he happened to catch a flight back down to Houston, which wouldn't be too far-fetched, he would have fresh legs. But, of course, international duty is what it's slotted as, but maybe there's a surprise going on. Now, I'm sure plenty of you are going to ask about Ezequiel Ponce, a record signing for the Houston Dynamo coming in from AEK in Athens. He's not going to be playing against LAFC because we've got to wait until the transfer window situation comes through. So he will not be in the game. He's a fantastic player, though, 27-year-old Argentinian. He will most likely be eligible to play for Houston in their match against Vancouver on July 20th. So we're not going to have to worry about him either.
Yeah, that's a big signing for them. They're really looking forward to that. Look, they still do have Ache. We'll probably talk about Hector Herrera and our players to watch. He is an incredible player, and I just love watching his set-piece acumen is second to none in the league. Really fun to watch. So, look, lots of guys. Philly,
he's in the All-Star game.
He is in the All-Star game. He's a commissioner's choice, him and Darlington Nagbe. Let's talk about our players to watch. Let's get right into it because this means I get to talk about one of my favorite players of all time in black and gold, and he's not wearing black and gold anymore. Very sad about it, but I do love the star man playing on the right. Latif Blessing. And before you go, oh, Scarf is being all sentimental. No, my friends. How about Latif Blessing? is the second leading scorer on the Houston Dynamo. I will repeat that again. Latif Blessing is the second leading scorer on the Houston Dynamo, and they have all come within this resurgence of the Dynamo over these last 7 matches. He's got 5 goals. He also scored for them in their Open Cup loss, so he has started to find the back of the net. And look, once he feels comfortable, we know Latif can find not just goals, but goal contributions in bunches. And we all know the type of problem Latif Blessing can be. Yes, we thought he lost a little bit of a step after he traveled around the league a little bit when we let him go, but he has found a home in Houston. I won't be rooting for Latif Blessing during the 90 minutes, but if, let's say, we go up, I don't know, by a score of 3-0 or something, I really hope Latif gets one late. All due respect to Hugo Lloris wanting to tie Christian Kalina for the most clean sheets. I'm okay with him getting one late. But Latif Blessing, my player to watch for Houston. And I'm waiting for a goal contribution from Ryan Hollingshead. I think he's going to get one in this match. He's obviously very familiar with the Texas area, having played for quite a while for FC Dallas. But moreover, I think he's just seemed a little bit more hungry recently. He wants to pass Graham Zusi, or at least catch Graham Zusi on the all-time Major League Soccer goals scored record, not just Major League Soccer across all competitions goals record, which he now has. And I think he's going to get something happening here in Houston. I would love for this to be the game where either he gets a goal or has an assist on a big goal, something like that. Maybe to take some of the eyes off of Matty Bogusz so that people can forget how good he is for just a little bit. So I'm going with Latif, and I'm going with Ryan Hollingshead. Philly, what about you?
I had a feeling you would pick Latif. He would have been my player to look at because he's he's improved so much since his time with the New England Revolution. And yes, I always want to see him do his thing. I mean, that kid was the heart and soul of our team for so long. I love Latif Blessing. And yes, if we're blowing them out, he could have a goal. I don't care. Now, most of you would probably assume that I would pick the low-hanging fruit in that Ibrahim Aliyu, the leading scorer on the team, and he's also responsible for 10 goal contributions. But I'm going to go with a player that was last season's leading scorer, and that of Amin Bassi, the French-born Moroccan international, did lead the Houston Dynamo in goals last season. He's receded that role to Aliyu, but he's still very much involved offensively. He's one of the team's leaders when it comes to dish and dimes, and obviously that counts just as much as scoring goals. In fact, he leads the Dynamo with 8 assists and 2 goals. So he's got the same amount of goal contributions as their leading scorer, Aliyu. And so he has some history against us, and he's a fun player to watch, and he's the one that I'm really going to look forward to seeing, and he's the one that our midfielders and our backline are going to have to be somewhat aware of, because the amount of dimes that he's dishing, he's going to be, I guess you could say, the quarterback or the point guard of Houston's offense. And we could obviously say the same thing about Ache as well. And then as far as LAFC is concerned, well, you see it right there. And I didn't put it up just to piss off Scarf, because it would be pretty funny if I did. I say that because Scarf has been a little perturbed by the performance of Edward Atuesta this season. And I know a lot of people at LAFC are a little perturbed between the temper tantrums and everything else going on. But I think he's starting to come into his own. He is a very important part of our team. And when Edward Atuesta keeps his cool and does what he's assigned to do, we're a damn good team, and he's a damn good player. And I do expect some more offensive contributions out of him, whether it be by way of scoring goals or by dishing off to Denny and Matty Bogusz. So yes, Edward Atuesta for LAFC, and then Amin Bassi for the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, before we get into our keys to the match, just want to remind everybody, it's also supposed to rain tomorrow at some point during the match. It's supposed to be 88 degrees with like 80% humidity. Absolutely gross on the pitch over there in Houston. So that could affect some things as well. I like that you chose Edward Atuesta. I hope that Edward Atuesta has as good of a game against Houston as he did against Carson. And that's me saying something nice about Edward Atuesta.
Yay, look at how quickly you could change your mind.
You're not changing it. I'm just being nice for now. Keys to the match. Look, this is something that Philly and I shoot for after every tailgate. No hangover. But what I mean from that is no hangover from the Carson match. Because, yes, we know everybody played up in that match in the Rose Bowl. seeing those guys, and Philly and I were right there as they were coming off the pitch. They were electric. They were fired up. This was more than just one 3-point win over the course of a 34-match season. This is a huge one that we took at the Rose Bowl. But we have to be able to put it in perspective, put it in our back pocket, and put it away, because just 3 days later now, we are headed to Houston. And this is a club that knows they can beat us from the way they played last year. And this is a club that knows they are on the rise and have everything to play for. Look, it is no surprise. We say this before every match. When you wear the LAFC crest on your shirt, you wear the target on your back every single match. And what we are going to get from Houston is absolutely their best shot. But Houston has a problem, because LAFC is going to be able to play our game. Almost no team sets up for us better in the way to allow possession and then counter than Houston does. They pass the ball a ton, but don't do a ton with it. They don't create a ton of expected goals with their opportunities. This is a match that I think plays right into our hands, providing we can imprint our style on this game. And I really do think that LAFC is going to do that, as long as we can shake off those big 3 points from the Rose Bowl and head into Houston with the mindset of taking 3 from them in their place.
I mean, that kind of just cuts into what I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kill them on the counter, just for a lot of the points that you alluded to. Houston's game is all about controlling possession. To be precise, 57.9% possession across the entire season, which gives them, Ben Olsen's side, the ability to dictate their pace, to control the match, and to kind of do things as they please. But as we've alluded to, their XG is abysmal. But they don't allow very many goals either. Either way, we know that they're going to dictate possession. Now, if we could start to carve them up a little bit and start to attack that possession-oriented team, there's nobody that's going to be able to keep on pace with LAFC in transition. The speed that our forwards have is going to be too much for that Houston back line. And despite the fact that they do have a really good goals against average, I think if we could kill them on the counter, that will lead to our success. So we beat them in transition. Let them hold the ball as long as they do. They're not going to take very many shots. We'll just wait till they make that mistake and then beat them to the punch. And because of the fact that it's going to be 88 degrees and 80% humidity, the last thing we'd want to do really is run ourselves to the ground. We will just wait. And then when they give us the bait, we will attack and then make them pay.
I feel like I'm in the upside down right now. Philly only chose one player from Houston to watch and only has one key to the match. This is incredible. Oops. All right, no, that's okay. Put it up there. I've already talked about it. I alluded to it, but you guys didn't know I was alluding to my score prediction. I said maybe if LAFC goes up 3-0, then Latif can get one late and make it 3-1. Well, that is indeed my score prediction, Philly. I think that Denis Bouanga sees what Christian Arango is doing over in Salt Lake. I think that Matty Bogusz decided, you know what, let me also get into this race as well. And I think we get 2. 1 from Denis Bouanga, 1 from Matty Bogusz. And I'm just saying, I hope the third comes from someone different. I want to see it come from someone who hasn't scored a whole ton this season. In fact, here's me saying something nice. I would love for it to be from Philly's player to watch, Edward Atuesta. That would be great. I already said I hope Ryan Hollingshead gets involved. I mean, come on. I know, Lafferty, I don't know what happened. I went Christian Arango rather than Chicho Arango. I don't know what happened there. Either way, 3-1 LAFC. And yes, I am predicting that everyone's favorite star man, the game changer himself, will get a late one for Houston. And knowing him, he'll celebrate a little bit and he'll get patted on the head by, Ryan Hollingshead or somebody like that, but it'll be fine. Latif Blessing scores, we win 3-1.
Question on the Instagram side of things, asking when Olivier Giroud will be here with LAFC. Of course, the Euros is going to be part of why he isn't going to show up anytime soon, because France is advanced. But either way, we still have to wait for after the transfer window of July 20th. So more than likely, he will either feature in the matchup against the Seattle Sounders or more than likely Leagues Cup against Xolos. That will be the earliest, I would say, that we see Olivier Giroud. Did you just make a face at me?
I would just hate for his debut to be against the Leagues Cup. Oh, I just can't stand the Leagues Cup. I don't like Leagues Cup so much. It is hard to
So
put into words
you
how
would
much I
rather
don't
have
like.
games against New Mexico United as opposed to Cholos?
I would look. I like the
Tijuana?
Cholos matchup. I said all along. I really hope that we were going to be traveling down there. I would love to go to TJ to go watch Cholos play. I'd love to do these if we're going to travel. It'll be a little bit more fun. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to play Vancouver for the 16th time in 2 years. I'm over it. I don't
Fair.
like it.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, look, if it wasn't for Vancouver, I would agree. If we had other teams in there, more Liga MX focused, I'd be more about it. I don't
Sure.
want to miss the Cholos match. That's going to be fun. The game against Vancouver, yes, I could gladly opt out of that one. Now,
Excuse me
a
one
lot.
second. I'm going to put this out there. Philly, I just got a text from your friend and mine, Al Rate, who's also making fun of me for hating Leagues Cup. So just letting you know.
Al Rate, for those of you who don't know, was the director of match day presentation at Bank of California Stadium for a couple of years, our inaugural year. And he had a fun journey helping expansion franchises, or clubs rather, do their thing with stadium ops, including Austin, including Charlotte. But now he has made his way on over to Houston. Al, we love you, buddy. We miss you. I think we should put a gentlemanly bet on tomorrow's game just to spice things up a little bit. But defenders, y'all are going to like Scarf's prediction a heck of a lot more than mine. I think it was the other way around last year, where it was really Scarf's predictions that kind of ticked us off, and he was being very conservative in his thoughts, yada, yada, yada. Look, I think between a mild hangover, I think between having to play within the humidity, I think the thought of having to be prepared for New Mexico United on Wednesday, I think we're not losing, but I don't think we're winning either. Oh, wait a minute. I lied. We're going to win by a score of 1-0, but it's not going to be a blowout kind of a game. 1-2-2 is our record against Houston, and alluding back, 2019 was the last time that we had beaten him. Now, we're going to end that record because LAFC's done a very good job at setting new records this season, breaking hearts and setting trends. So we're going to eliminate that factor, but it's going to be a low-scoring game. We're going to score one. I don't know when. If I did, I obviously I'd have my name on stadiums and I'd own Don Garber. But we are going to win by a score of 1-0, and it'll be glorious, and that'll extend our winning streak across all competitions to 13. Across MLS to 11.
Lucky number 13, lucky number 11. Philly, you had me thinking you were going to zig, and all you did was just kind of mildly zag, but that was fine. That was good.
I like to keep you on your toes. I don't have any dude wipes style like zingers to throw in there. And quite honestly, I'm probably the calmest I've been on a podcast in a long time because something new has happened to me this weekend, Scarf. Something that hasn't happened to me in a long time.
Remember, it's a family show.
I got to sleep in and relax. I got to work out. Hand and I walked on over to this new bagel shop on Magnolia in Burbank called Bagel Boss. I got to be calm. I took a nap. This is what weekends I remember feeling like to a certain extent, where you had a couple of days to chill. I haven't had a weekend off in ages. And even when I was in South Carolina, I was with family, which was fine, but it's not exactly relaxing when you're running around with 8 nieces and nephews.
Listen, as you get older, carbs and sleep are all you really need, Philly. So you're starting to figure that out. I like it. It was pizza from What Up Dough. Now it's bagels from Bagel Boss. And
New York style, bro. Like I had a Bialy. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a Bialy. If our buddy Sean is in the chat, he knows what a Bialy is. I assume Chris Lafferty knows what a Bialy is too, because he's from that neck of the woods. I had a Bialy in a long time. The only thing that would have made my jaw drop and given me a food, family friendly, I can't say, but a food sense of joy would have been some Martinelli's apple juice with a Bialy and chives. Oh, that would have been a phenomenal breakfast.
I love it. Philly's getting his bodega sweats back on. I like it. Back from the Bialy bagel. Martinelli's? I don't know, man. I was never a big Martinelli's fan. Lucky Number 11 is a good movie, Mendo. What brought up Lucky Number 11? Anyways, Philly, I'm just saying, we got ourselves a big streak going. We're not going to lose it in Houston. You're going to be watching the game, I believe you said, from Doghouse, right?
Yep, and you bring up a very good point. So defenders, obviously there's things going on in terms of watch parties. The Expos will be doing their watch party at Creature Comforts Creature Comforts at 1124 San Julian Street in Los Angeles. If you're right around the Los Feliz area, Pride Republic is hosting their watch party at High Tops, 1714 North Vermont. If you are hanging out with Black Army, they will be at Mount Low Brewing Company on 150 East. 150, what? Oh, 150 St. Joseph Street in Arcadia. Oh my God, they've got Cousin's Maine Lobster with the food. They got some really good lobster rolls.
I might be there.
If you want to hang out with me and Panda, possibly Hello Kitty, and D9 and the Cuervos, we're going to be doing it at Doghouse Beer Garden in Burbank, right by the airport. And the cool thing about that spot is you can run right out of Doghouse and into Randy's Donuts. Jesus, I'm thinking like a fat kid these days. I need to stop. And then last but not least,
carbs.
Yeah, carbs, exactly. And last but not least, if you're in the IE, awesome spot. Go there after every Empire Strikers game. The Empire boys are hosting the watch party at Rowdy's Brew Company in Rancho Cucamonga. I love Rowdy's. They have really good beer. They're big LAFC fans, and they also support indoor soccer. The owner there, John, used to play at UC Riverside. Cool spot. That's where all the watch parties are going to be happening that I know of. Yeah. Scarf, where will you be?
I'll be home, I think. I'm gonna watch it from home. My mom actually enjoys.
I will post your address on the internet, the interwebs, and we will all crash the party.
My mom definitely enjoys watching the games more with me now, since everything happened last year. So it's been nice to sit and watch some games with mom. You know, we'll see. But yeah, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll join you out there at Doghouse, but most likely I'll be at home. But either way, I've got 3-1. Philly had a roundabout way of saying he's got 1-0. Make sure you let us know both in the chat or on social media. Hit us up via instant message, direct message, private message, or just write it on Philly's wall if you happen to pass by his house, what you think the score is going to be. Look, let us know. We hope you guys are enjoying. There's going to be a lot of defenders this month of July, everybody. So we both apologize and say you're welcome at the same time. We love you all very much. Philly, we have cool outro music?
Yeah.